How's it going, guys? So I'm here with my SmackDown review, and what a total disaster of a show. I really didn't think that we could get worse than last week's show, but somehow, some way they managed it, because at least last week's show had a phenomenal opening segment. One of the best things that we'd seen all year, pretty much. I mean, there's not a lot of competition, but I think a lot of people would agree that that was a pretty good segment. This week, come on. I mean, this was just further proof that they need Roman Reigns there, and further proof that they just do not give a shit. So here we go. We're going to start off with Charlotte coming to the ring. There's a little bit of acknowledgement. She said the drama last week of what happened, her getting escorted out by security. The funny thing is, I couldn't even tell that anything was wrong in that segment last week. You could call me a moron. You could call me stupid, but forgive me if I'm wrong here, but this is what we kind of see from them all the time. Goofballish segments that never go right, and they just are weird and awkward. So this really wasn't any different than the norm to me. I mean, did anyone honestly look at this and say oh wow, something's really wrong here? No, I wasn't getting that at all. To me, it looked like, okay, I'm going to slap the title out of your hand. I'm going to pull back. I'll slap the title out of your hand. More of that childish nonsense that we all know, and more of the terribleness that we get from the women's division. So, Charlotte here shows that she is definitely better on the mic than the others, because she does at least, acknowledge this and talk about it a little bit. And I like the fact that she even threw in I got a title, and in the back all the other girls will be celebrating. This undoubtedly is a reference to the cringeworthy shit we see on social media from the women. I want a title. I'm living a dream. I mean, remember back in the day, you'll always hear this from Vince Russo, Ben Hameen, and Stevie Richards. If you subscribe to Channel Attitude, which I definitely recommend, which is the new website for Vinny Roo, by the way. So, I want to put that over here to start off with. But they always talk about this. Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, it was very, very rare that a wrestler cried or celebrated like they won the lottery. They'd win it, and they'd still, keep a respectable, aura to them. They didn't, all of a sudden just fall apart at the seams. Oh, my God. Oh, I want a fake belt. Oh! So I like that Charlotte kind of acknowledged that. She's like, it's just another title to me. Kind of almost saying, I just want another prop, guys. It's not really a big deal. So I kind of like that in a way. It kind of shows Charlotte is more the heel, the I don't give a shit kind of attitude. I don't know, that kind of resonated with me a little bit, but let's not get too carried away. Sasha Banks comes out. Once again, it's let's go through the whole entrance, and I'm going to stand there until you complete everything on the ring apron. And, you punched me in the face last week, and you're going to turn your back. Turn your back to Charlotte as you're entering the ring. It's the same thing with Bianca Belair, turning around while she's slapping her ass. Never mind that my rival is in the ring and they can take a cheap shot at me at any time. Let me turn my back on them. Hey, hold on a second there. I've gotta do my signature pose. Can you hold on and not attack me for a minute? Hey, whoa. Hey, what? Are you serious? How unbelievable is that? How stupid does it make her look? You know, and plus, like, she's the heel, or she the baby face, is she the tweener here? Who even cares? So Charlotte says she's going to give an opportunity to someone else tonight. And who does it end up being? It's Shotzi. Hey, Shotzi. This just felt really random to me. People will say, okay, well, this is just like sort of like an open challenge of sorts, I guess. But it was kind of like it was already determined that it was going to be Shotzi. And this was a contenders match. It wasn't even a championship match. So it didn't even really feel exciting. Who's going to sit there? Oh, she wins this, she gets an opportunity at Charlotte. Like, how much more, you know, not like I'd be really excited, edge of my seat, but how much better would the match feel if it was like the title was on the line? Because, you know, there are people that like Shotzi. I think there might be a little something in there for Shotzi with these fans, because there's people that will buy her you-know-what off of eBay. I'm not even going to say that line. Just go Google it if you want to find out what people actually buy from her. I'll give you a hint. It takes place in the bathroom. Usually when you're a little bit backed up. So yeah, people are buying that from Shotzi. Yeah. Okay? So I think you kind of get the picture there. So anyway, so Shotzi is out there. You know, like, I'll admit, like, yeah, Shotzi, she's cute. She's not, like, really like this, oh my God, like you'd buy thousands and thousands, you know, thousands of dollars to buy that from her. And, like, you know, Shotzi's okay. I mean, there's many other girls with this, you know, punk rock appearance that look better. You know, like, for example, like, Toni Storm is, like, 10 times better looking than Shotzi. I mean, honestly, like, is there anyone really out there that would say they rather have Shotzi instead of, like, Toni Storm? I don't really think so, but whatever, you know, but here's Shotzi. Here's Shotzi. So, Shotzi, you know, this girl right here, I look at her in the ring, and it kind of really just seems like a parody. You know, I'm thinking back, like, just in my mind as I was watching this, and it seemed like Charlotte was out of sorts in this match too. I think, you know, the stuff that's going on in real life is wearing on her mind, because, you know, some parts looked okay from her and her selling, but, you know, the suicide dive, like, I don't know if it was Shotzi, like, not, like, going far enough or whatever, or putting enough oomph into it, but Charlotte, like, the way how she, like, fell down, it was, like, goofy beyond belief. Did anyone see that? That had to be one of the absolute worst looking suicide dives I've ever seen. Even from, like, AEW, the suicide dives even look bad. Hey, I put something over AEW. Your suicide dives don't look that bad compared to this trash. Not only that, but what was up with the plancha? Like, first I was trying to figure something out. Like, did you see that part where there's this part for, like, people, because I know there's people who watch this that, you know, that watch my videos that don't watch SmackDown, so I will explain exactly what happened. There's this one part where Shotzi is outside the ring, right? And she's like clearly not aligned with Charlotte, who's inside the ring. But Charlotte decides to slingshot her off the rope, you know, and it's like she's going for a plancha. But then she lands on her feet. So I'm like, the camera is still on Shotzi. So it's like, oh, were we not supposed to see that, but the live crowd's still seeing that? Or was it like Charlotte was trying something new and almost trying to break her ankles by going for a plancha, you know, like kind of ring exit type of thing, which I've never seen before. I'm sure somebody on the indies who's retarded has done that. But like, or was it just simply a fuck up? Like she's so out of sorts that she didn't even realize that Shotzi was not there. Like, seriously, she was honestly, no exaggeration, standing at least 6 feet away from where Charlotte launched herself. And it looked like complete ass. I'm just going to say, like, that just looked like I thought I was watching AEW with these, oh, gotta catch them all. Hey, you know something? I just realized a correlation there on AEW with people standing around with their arms outstretched. It's like, it's kind of like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch all the flying wrestlers coming at you. So this just looks seriously bad. You know, and I'd expect better from Charlotte, but I guess we have to excuse that. And then there's a distraction, you know, something with Shotzi, and because Sasha Banks is watching this whole thing from ringside, which, you know, I don't know. It's kind of to intimidate her, but like the referee is allowing it for some reason, even though she's not a valet and she's not on commentary. So like, I've never seen this before. Like, where the other wrestlers allowed to just stay at ringside and watch the whole thing. And the referee is la la la, like, seriously. Like, I've never seen this before. Like, I'm like, oh, are they gonna tell her to leave? No. So it's not even like any real, like, you know, just one of these goofy ass distractions. And Charlotte ends up hitting her finisher. You know, match is over. Shotzi loses. She doesn't even win the contenders match. So Shotzi goes like fucking berserk. And it's all this weak looking offense. And she, you know, and the other thing, she goes, oh. And she did it during the match. Oh. She sounds like a damn rooster. You know, it's supposed to be a howl, but that don't sound like any wolf I ever heard. Doesn't sound like a dog or anything like that. Oh. Like, you know, chicken head. Does anyone, you know, familiar with that term? Like, clock, 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 clock. I mean, seriously. You know, she should be pushing the dirt with her feet and flapping her damn arms. Like, I'm sorry, but this NXT indie fucking bullshit has to just end. I'm sorry. You know, I haven't strung together expletives like that a long time on this channel, but I was just watching this, and this was just a total disgrace all around. So Shotzi just like completely goes overboard here. Just a heel turn out of nowhere for no apparent reason. Doesn't even make any sense why she'd get that mad at Sasha. And you know, like seriously, like what the hell? Like this just felt really disjointed and weird. And we wasted so much time in this opening segment. 20 minutes of precious time. Before you know it, we're 30 minutes into the show, and we have just totally wasted time. I don't know who would still honestly be watching this after this point. What compare it to last week, and you want to talk about night and day? It couldn't be any more night and day. It couldn't be any more bright or dark if you put these segments side by side. So up next, Jeff Hardy is happy to have a fresh start. Yeah, Jeff Hardy gets interrupted by Madcap Moss, who cuts a little joke, and him and Corbin laughed their asses off, and Jeff Hardy, the camera pans back to him. He's like, "Yeah, I'm happy to be here on SmackDown," and that was it. There's your legend. There's this guy who put his body on the line for the company. And I'm just saying, like, what a fucking disgrace. I'm sorry, but like every single time, I mean, at least Yeah, Rey Mysterio on Raw in the ladder match, whatever, you know, he didn't win it, but I'm just saying, you have these guys on your roster. They're so much more talented than a lot of the other guys that you have. They have natural charisma. Jeff Hardy isn't this, you know, magician on the mic, but, you know, by golly, he's got the charisma. See, that's the thing. It's like the guy doesn't even really need to talk about it. He still has that charisma because he has that aura around him. That's why he's the charismatic enigma. Jeff Hardy, it means so much to WWE and its history and all the good years and moments that they had. Jeff Hardy is a part of so many of those. Undoubtedly one of my favorites of all time. So see him being used like this is just horrible to me. It's hard for me to watch, and it just fucking gets me mad. It really does, because you have this guy here, and, you know, it's not even like, you know, always putting people over. He's in his 40s. He's putting people over. You know, the thing is, like, the people that he's put over, you know, in matches, like fucking Austin Theory. I mentioned this, I think last week. Like, that's who you think, like, getting a victory over Jeff Hardy. Austin Theory is going to be catapulted into superstardom. You think that this guy is going to end up being, you know, the next Jeff Hardy or someone of that caliber? No, that simply ain't going to happen. So I don't understand why people think that he needs to be relegated to this role just because he's a certain age and at a certain point in his career. If the guy could still wrestle, let him wrestle and put him in main events. Have him wrestle Roman Reigns for the title. He would be a great baby face in that role. He don't have to win it, but just to be in it would be good enough. But yeah, I don't get it. So anyway, we'll move on to Adam Pearce's big announcement. Adam Pearce, for the first time, this guy like actually projected his voice. No, well, last week he did it too. I did say that. But, you know, still this WWE official, like, does anyone take this seriously? I know it's a fake role and everything, but, like, can we at least call the guy a commissioner, call him a GM, call him something? What is this WWE official? Even the referees are officials. So I don't understand why for so long we've given them this title. Like, this is what going forward, what all authority figures are going to be called. We just had GMs just a few years ago when, you know, it was Daniel Bryan, Stephanie, Shane. Remember all that stuff? That was commissioners and GMs, and all of a sudden they just decide, let's retire those names, I guess. It's got to be a reason why they're not using it. So he says he's going to fine Brock Lesnar $1 million. Like, okay, so, you know, a little bit of extra stakes added on top to what Brock did last week. You know, something desperately to try to get any semblance of Roman Reigns here on this show. They don't even have a pre-recorded segment for Reigns. And then Heyman is watching this. Kayla Braxton approaches him, and here we get the line: Roman Reigns is not here. I could hear the sound of TVs clicking off when they heard that. You know, that's your draw for this show without a doubt, is Reigns. And, you know, that's the reason I think why they have managed to get the 2 million the 2 million pretty consistently. And that's because of Reigns being there every week. The promos, the segments. And you're telling us right now he's not there. You know, they could have just had something planned, something recorded with him. I mean, they used to do this back in the day, like when Stone Cold couldn't be there, like one week. They would sometimes have something there as a placeholder, or, you know, make sure that it doesn't happen. These things happen way too often where talent just doesn't show up. And, you know, I get it, they have commitments and stuff, but I mean, like, what's the reason? You know, I remember, like, this happened with one other star not too long ago, and I couldn't find even a reason online, like, why it happened. It just feels a little odd that you have this segment from last week, this big segment, and if there's ever a time where Roman Reigns should be there, it's probably during the follow-up to one of the best segments you've had in a while. So to not have them there and then replace it with that absolute garbage at the beginning for 30 minutes, I mean, what is anyone supposed to think when seeing that? But, maybe it didn't affect the ratings. We will see what happens, of course. Maybe people kept watching thinking Reigns is there because Heyman kind of said it a little bit quick. He also wasn't too clear about it when he said it. Well, that's why Reigns is not there. He kind of said it, but it was kind of hidden with everything else he was saying because he was also acting goofy. Caleb Braxton asked him, what do you think Brock Lesnar would say, in that situation? He went into this whole thing saying Brock Lesnar's name 1,000 times in the way that he says it. Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar. He said it. It was pretty comical. It got a chuckle out of me. But man, what a fucking cartoon character he is every single week. Out of all the members of the bloodline, and he is technically a member, he's there on the shirt, on the t-shirt. He is obviously the weakest link of that group because you've got 3 great promo guys, Reigns, Jay, and Jimmy, all cut good promos. But Heyman's off there, like just acting like a total goof. And I said I never understood this. He was one of the best commentators I felt. He was also one of the greatest GMs I felt at one time. But for some reason, like when he came back after 2012, it was just total goofball city for him with these, he seems to like to pedal off of these catchphrases and repeat himself to emphasize a point, but it just gets brutally annoying. Seriously, it's like enough already. They keeps repeating the same lines. And I think he thinks it's a way of, building, as I said, like a point and just building off of that. And he thinks it might be catchy or something like that. I've never seen this anywhere else but in WWE or in wrestling, where you do these sorts of things with the repetition and it gets old real fast. It got old 8 years ago, 9 years ago, since he's been doing this whole charade. He's gotten a little bit better. He's broken out of that my client Brock Lesnar thing. He hasn't done that in quite some time. I mean, he did a few weeks ago for nostalgic purposes, but that was it. So, totally over the top, little rant. Reigns is not there. Up next, so what do we got? What are we going to fill the rest of the hour and a half with now that we've wasted all this time with a terrible opening segment? And we know that Reigns is not going to be there. So we've got Drew McIntyre. Well, we got Drew. Here's your opportunity here. We've got Drew McIntyre, who's going to be the big star, right, on SmackDown. He's going to start over new and fresh, a breath of fresh air. It's going to be like magic, right? So here we have this totally absurd match here where once again, Drew McIntyre issuing an open challenge. And we've, anyone who, I know there's a few people like myself who subscribe to Russo's podcast, said like open challenge. It just shows that you have nothing planned for this wrestler, nothing planned for this talent. Just a random match, and make it seem, like it's someone just coming out of the blue. And it's Mustafa Ali, the guy that we know absolutely has no chance against Drew McIntyre, former champion. Not like that really means much nowadays. But he has this match, and I mean, it's a decent match and everything, and it was well done, where, Drew was like blocking the DDT. He used his size in this match. It would have been ridiculous if they ignored the size. I mean, they did ignore the size in Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns twice, mind you. So I was a little bit surprised that they took this route. And I thought it was decent for what it is. But and also, what is this about Drew winning by submission? I don't really see him as a submission guy, and using the Kimura lock, like, that just seemed random, but, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Decent little match there. Way better than the trash we saw in the beginning. Night and day, once again. But, Drew McIntyre brought the fresh air here. And, first week, wrestles Sami Zayn. The next week, he's wrestling Mustafa Ali. I mean, is this really where we're at with Drew? This is where we're going to start over anew? This is where we're going to bring Drew back to the promised land? No, we're not getting that at all. What we've got here is, once again, stuck in the same position. Drew McIntyre is back where he started on Raw, doing absolutely, positively nothing. I mean, you could at least say that he was in the title hunt for the U.S. title on Raw. Here, just issuing open challenges. Doesn't really have much planned. This is a very lax way of coming on to this show. I mean, you would think like a former champion saying that he led WWE through uncertain times, led them through the pandemic and, through the pandemic era of WWE, whatever you want to call the uncertain times era. Okay, so, now that you're on SmackDown, now that you're on Fox, wouldn't you want to, try to reclaim that former glory? I guess not. You're just content with, wrestling Mustafa Ali. I mean, in an open challenge match. Like, that proves anything, and this thing, the time for talking is done. On time for action, it's, he said, I'm ready to kick some ass, and, that's all fine and well, but, like, you could kick ass and make it actually mean something. I don't get this, like, you bring the guy to SmackDown and you have nothing planned at all for these guys. I mean, isn't that just a little weird, to say the least? You've got nothing at all planned for Drew McIntyre, who not too long ago was your biggest star. Then after the match, we got Ali grabbing the mic, and he all of a sudden turns into Muhammad Hassan, if anybody remembers from the from the Ruthless Aggression era, actually. Says, you're cheering for Drew McIntyre, and the only reason you're cheering for him is because my name is Mustafa Ali, and that was it. I mean, a little bit of a teaser there. I don't really think we should wait to give this guy a character. I mean, if you have the idea, use it full force. I mean, I don't know. To me, this is kind of random. I'm not going to knock it, because any character for Ali would be welcome over the braid my hair, dark eyeshadow, which he did not have in this match. Thank God. At least there was that. That was something alone to celebrate, that he ditched that awful look. So we'll move on here. We've got the knighting is coming up. The knighting ceremony. So we've got the King's coronation ceremony. And now we're going to knight Kofi Kingston. And he's not King Xavier. He's King Woods now. And remember Hit Row? Remember their debut last week? Well, they're relegated to the backstage. And, Kofi asked them, how about some bars, right? Usually bars mean rhymes, like rap. And they just keep saying, they do it like rhythmically, but they keep saying King Woods. Like, okay. Yeah, that's not bars right there. That's not rapping. That's not singing. You're just saying the guy's name, with a little pizzazz. Like, how pointless can we get? Is anyone really, like, sitting there saying, oh, yeah, that's the entertainment I'm looking for? I mean, like, have them rap about him a little bit. Do something. I mean, you're just going to have that. They're like, yeah, that's good enough, guys. Just say his name, real slowly. Like, okay. Weird stuff tonight. Pretty, it's not out of the ordinary for them, but this night you could just tell, like, We need to come up with a bunch of random shit because we don't have Roman. So here you go. And we're going to try to really drag this, just like I knew they would, with the King Woods thing. You know, it's a really, really bad, like Booker T, like King Booker impression. You know, you don't have short, and I did not like that gimmick. I mentioned it a few times when we talked about King of the Ring winners and King Corbin. I says, I don't like this King gimmick. It's never been good. Only Jerry the King Lawler did it well. Everyone else, you know, there's a reason why they didn't have wrestlers wear the crown after a while, because it looks fucking goofy. Seriously, who is really like watching this and like happy that Xavier Woods won this crown and now is acting like a total moron? Like I don't understand. Like, it's not funny what he's doing. Yeah, it's a crown on. And he's sort of kind of talking with a little bit of an accent, you know, trying to get that Booker T thing going, but it's oh so bad. He's trying to use King language, and you know, something really uncomforting about him calling Kofi the King's hand. Yeah, the King's hand, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know, I get it. Hand is like, you know, a servant, you know, which also just, okay. You know, Kofi's going to be a servant, and he's so happy about this. This guy won the fucking WWE Championship, and he's, like he's elated. He's totally, like, enthusiastic about this, like it's the greatest thing ever that he's being knighted. And you're like knighted with a sword, but Xavier uses his scepter instead because, you know, I guess Drew McIntyre's got the sword, so he's got to compensate by using the scepter, you know, and so now he's Sir Kofi. Well, brilliant. So the Usos come out and they're entertaining as always, breaking up this shit. Like, once again, night and day here, folks. There's a few examples on this show of where we just have a clear example of what's good and what's bad. You know, seriously, like Xavier and Kofi, just stale hijinks, just goofing around. Oh, I'm the king. In 2021, we're still doing cheesy ass king gimmicks that have been repeated. We just had a king. I get it. You know, just because you become the king of the ring, why does it have to become your gimmick? When did this ever become a thing? You know, seriously, like, what, you know, you're not the Macho Man. You can't make this work. I'm sorry, you're not Macho King. You can't make this work. I'm sorry. You know, it was annoying even with someone as talented as Booker T and as well as he did it. Just, I haven't really spoken to a lot of people that really said they love that gimmick and love King gimmicks and can't wait till the next King gimmick comes around. And we've had so many Kings and doing this gimmick. I told you, all these different Kings. King Barrett. Time and time again, we keep repeating this same mistake over and over again. And it's so tiresome. Must we keep doing this? So, you know, all right. Well, let's move on. So we got the Usos. They're going back and forth with them, and I really got a kick out of when I believe it was Jay who says, "I'm gonna. What are you gonna think when I kick that crown off your what do you say, off your fat head or something like that, or your big head?" I thought that was pretty entertaining. But you know, yeah, the Usos, when they talk, they're quick. They're witty. It's snappy. It works. It may not be the best verbiage. You know, we all know that. You know, but when they talk, it commands attention. You know, you don't roll your eyes like when Xavier Woods opens his mouth. I mean, just it's so tiresome. And so it's going to be a match. So Xavier Woods, even though we got Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville here, we've got people making matches in the middle of the ring out of nowhere because he's the king, so of course he can make matches, right? Right? Yeah, whatever. Sure. So we've got the Usos and New Day. It's a fresh new start for these wrestlers. Now, go back to where you were feuding in 2017. Like, okay, so you gave the guy the King of the Ring, just so he could go back to tag team wrestling and wrestle the same people they wrestled like 15 fucking times. Seriously, how many times did the Usos and the New Day wrestle each other? But like when they were on the same show last, I remember seeing this quite a bit. They had the Hell in a Cell match. They had countless, like they had an Extreme. They had like all these different matches. So now we're gonna come back and have a regular match with them. Anyway, so yeah, Kofi. This is the greatest night of Kofi's life. He's super happy that he's been knighted, even though he's won the WWE title. Yeah, he actually seemed happier to be knighted. Then they do a Raw recap. Seth Rollins has now won the right to challenge Big E. I don't know what it is. There's something really weird about that match. Like, Seth Rollins and Big E. That's like really an interesting mix. I don't know what it is. It just seems like, really weird. Like, I don't know like how that really will work. Character-wise and match-wise, I don't know. I mean, it should be interesting. It just really seems like an odd mix to me. McAfee starts marking out because it's time for Boogs and Nakamurphy. And McAfee, just the amount of stuff that he does, and I'm going to talk about this shitty match that's coming up here, and how good of a commentator he is that he makes garbage like this bearable. So we've got him getting up on top of the table, putting his foot on Michael Cole's shoulder and just fucking rocking out. It was hilarious. So it's time for the Trick or Street fight match because, yeah, that rhymes or something. Like, I know it's not the first time they've done one of these, but Trick or Street fight? Like, what kind of a name is that? It's Trick or Treat, Trick or Street fight? What? Like, does anyone actually, like, sit back and think about these things before they actually put them on TV? Like, okay, yeah, that doesn't really rhyme or doesn't really sound good. We could just maybe call it a Halloween street fight. So they've decorated the ring. Baron Corbin has promo, which, as Pyro, excuse me, not promo, Pyro, which seemed really out of place, like, for his entrance. I think I'm not complaining about having Pyro. Trust me, remember when they didn't have Pyro? Now they're cracking off Pyro like crazy. It must be the Peacock deal, must be the Fox deal. They're sparing no expense. Pyro's going off at all times. Like, no complaints. But this match right here, orange colored kendo sticks. I mean, now when someone takes out a kendo stick, it's like, is anyone going to take it seriously? I mean, you took the kendo stick, which seemed lethal in the hands of people like Steve Blackman, in the hands of the Sandman, and other hardcore wrestlers. But now, when I see Madcap Moss and Boogs, holding an orange kendo stick, it just really is disappointing to me. It's like you're just making a joke out of the violence. It's like, ha 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 ha, I don't know. I kind of like this thing where McAfee and like Boogs and Nakamurphy kind of have this rapport with each other because they like that he marks out for their entrance. So, I find that to be endearing. That has its little bit of charm to it. But this match right here, it ends with some masked men hitting them with kendo sticks, I believe, if memory serves. And, Madcap Moss and Corbin get the win. And they pull off the masks, and it's Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. The crowd has, like, no reaction. I'm like, okay, what do they have to do with what's going on here? Like, how are they factoring them into this story? I'm going to be very curious to see that. It's super random. Are they going to be more, they're smiling. Are they happy too? So are they gonna? They might be. I bet they're gonna be part of Corbin's group now. Now we're all gonna be smiling, and joking around. More people in the group, just perfect, just wonderful. You have Corbin doing one of the best gimmicks I've seen in years, and now he's gonna be just having more people just smiling along with them. I mean, talk about just knocking a guy off his perch for no good reason. Taking something away from a man that was his baby. It was something that he was crafting, and it was genius. It truly was. It was a work of art that was still growing and still being molded and being perfected. And Corbin was throwing little things in there on Instagram. It was beautiful. It was a work of wrestling art, really, of character development. And it showed that Corbin had this, something that I've been saying for years here on this channel I saw in him. I saw the improvement in Corbin with his mic skills. I see it. I'm a Corbin fan, but this gimmick right here, this is not Baron Corbin. This is not for him. This is not giving him, there's nowhere he could go with this gimmick. He's a happy guy. He's smiling all the time, laughing at Madcap's jokes. Now he's going to have more smiling goofs with him. I mean, I don't get it. And this match was just horrendous. It was total goofballshness. They were able to do cool things like Halloween parties with John Cena and Stephanie back in the day. And I know someone's going to say, stop living in the past. But I'm just saying, like, they had examples of bringing the holidays to you. I mean, I think that's a fun idea. Let's be festive, but we don't have to make it shitty at the same time. Anyway, we'll move on. So we've got Sami Zayn is sucking up to old Hatchet Face. That's that's going to be Sonya Deville for anybody wondering. That's going to be her new nickname, old Hatchet Face. So Sami Zayn, I guess, wants to be his assistant, and they cut off the promo in the back. Even McAfee says, well, thanks for that. And he kind of plays it off, but like, was that a mistake, or was that like one of those things where they didn't want you to hear what he was saying? It just felt really disjointed and weird, kind of like the rest of the night. All right, I don't get it. You have Sami Zayn going toe-to-toe with Drew McIntyre, and they just, it was almost like a record scratch, like taking the needle off the record. Like, he goes from being featured pretty prominently on the show to barely being on it and just kind of sucking up. What is his role on this show? Is he going to be like now a manservant to old Hatchet Face, or, what's the plan here? So we're going to get our match. We've got Naomi and Shayna Baszler. And, the referee was injured last week in the Brock Lesnar segment, apparently. And now we have to have a replacement. So it's going to be Sonya Deville. She's going to be refereeing this match. And okay, we haven't had a special guest referee match in a long time. So, I figure, okay, so let's see where this goes. And what a fucking mess. Naomi, she's a great athlete, but she tripped over the top rope, and oh my God. And I don't know what happened. It was really awkward, like enziguri, and then Shayna kind of just gets her in this really sloppy ass pin, and there's a quick count from Sonya, and it just looked like, I thought that maybe Naomi got injured or something. I'm like, oh, okay, they had to end it quickly there. Keep her safe. But it wasn't that. She gets up and she's fine. So I'm like, what the hell was up with that finish? I realized it was a botch, but okay, recover from the botch and, bring it home. But man, what a total mess. But oh my God, did anyone see Naomi's ring attire? Holy fuck. Oh man. I will say she has one of the most amazing bodies I have seen. And, they kind of dress her in things a lot of times that don't really accentuate the best parts. And damn, I have to say this, this was a bad match, a bad segment, but I gotta say, I'm not really complaining about that. Definitely to me, like, I don't know, she's one of my favorites, I will say, when it comes to the women as far as looks go. Just, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on here, and we've got yet another promo from Woods and Kofi. Like, we really need to hear them again. I mean, I get it. We want to have follow up with them. I don't understand this. We don't get follow up with Roman Reigns last week, or but we get this. No promo package, but we get this. All right, we get Naomi again. She says the next time she meets up with Sonya Deville, she's gonna give her the rear view. Okay, whatever. Anyway, we'll finish it up with the main event. It's New Day defeating the Usos when Xavier Woods gets the job done with a random as hell, sloppy as fuck Oklahoma roll. So it ends with a roll up. That's the end of the show. What a total disaster, if I do say so myself. I mean, not like the match itself was like bad. I mean, they're good. They have chemistry, but we have seen it so many times. And how, like, if you know each other that well, how are you getting tricked with an Oklahoma roll? And even the way Xavier Woods was holding him, like, it just seemed like he could kick out at any moment. That would look like a 1 count, if even, to me. I'm just saying, like, just really, really shoddy there. Like, if that was the way you were going to do the move, and it's a botch, then get up and call an audible and do something else. Because that was really bad. So that was it. That was your show. That was just so bad on so many different levels. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, just watch my review if you skipped ahead, and you'll see exactly why it was so bad. Well, anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.